Alright, hello. So let's talk about how to spice up some very generic sounding chord progressions with our capo buddy, our favorite cheating device, as it's sometimes called by people. But it's definitely not a cheating device. It is our friend so that we can do things that we wouldn't ordinarily be able to do without it. So anyway, so I have a very generic chord progression here. So it's just E, B, C sharp minor, and A. Okay, so that is the most generic chord progression in the world. You know, if you're playing in like a band at a bar or just a band in general, odds are you're going to come across, you know, these just very generic 1, 5, 6, 4 chord progressions. So a lot of times what musicians do, and especially guitar players, if you see two guitar players on the stage together, a lot of times what they'll be doing is they will be just playing in the same spot with the other player. You know, things like that. And what that does is it makes things sound very kind of muddy, you know, because both of you are in the same spot on the guitar. And I do have this running through a looper, and so it's not going to sound as clear as it would if you had, you know, double guitars going, but it'll get the point across. So, but this would actually sound even better if you were on acoustic, if you had two acoustic players to do this. But so a way to spice things up a bit, or to make things sound a little bit more open and musical, would be to, instead of playing in the same position as the other player, it would be to take our friendly capo and put him on the 2nd fret. Hopefully you can see that there. Now, the guitar is divided up into 5 different zones. Most people know it as the caged system. And basically what that means, and I guess I should demonstrate this before I put the capo on here, is when you have a chord, you can actually play that same chord in 5 different positions. That very basic chord. Now there are different, you know, ways and things like that of visualizing the fretboard and looking at chords. But just as a general idea, so if we were to take this E chord here, we can actually play this E chord, the same exact E chord, in 5 different positions. And the caged system is, you know, spelled C-A-G-E-D. So C-A-G-E-D. And those patterns go from, you know, either the bottom of the neck and back down. So, you know, you can go either forward or backwards with them. But so, for example, if we're spelling out the word caged, we have C-A-G-E-D. Here's our E shape position here. So it's our E shape. So C-A-G-E-D. So the next shape that we could play this chord in would be our D shape. Well, I know from experience and just where that note is, just from being able, you know, playing it for so many years, that the D position, whoops, is on our 2nd fret. So the pointer finger is on the 2nd fret, and we're just doing the D shape here. And our next shape, since we're at the end, C-A-G-E-D, will start over, and it would be C. So we're at our D shape, go up to our C root on the A string. That's here. That's another way of playing the E chord. It's just a way of moving it up and down the neck. And we, you know, of course, you can go the other way with it too. You know, back down to the D position. Mess that up, but you get the point. So the next chord after A would, after C here, whoops, would be A. So A would be here. So that's our next shape, A. Next shape is G, C-A-G-E-D. That's a hard one to do because you have the bar, and then I usually don't really hit the last string if I'm, for whatever reason, doing this without a capo. And as you can see, these are a bit difficult to do without a capo, so I usually don't do them without a capo. So we have G here, and then we have E. That's our last position, and that's actually just one octave up from our bass position here, our bass E position. So okay, so we have the C, A, G, E, D shapes, going up and down the neck. Well, those really don't look like much until we start using our capo, and essentially what we're going to do is we're going to change the bass key that we're playing in. So, for example, our most generic chord progression in the world is, E, B, C sharp minor, and A. So when we put this capo on here, now we're thinking of being in the key of E, but playing in D. So now, our whole key changes. So essentially what we're doing is we're playing in the key of D instead of the key of E. But it still comes out as an E chord. So if we were to take this and play it in the key of D while the key of E is going in the background, we get something like this. Okay, so what that's doing is that's just taking our generic, progression here, and that's just adding a bit of harmony. And what it's also doing is it's spreading things out a bit. Music is a very, it wants movement, it wants dynamics, it wants range when you play. If you have a keyboard player and a bass player that's playing in the same octave, it's going to sound muddy. You're not going to have the dynamic range or the spread that it wants. So doing this with a capo allows you to kind of get that spread, and you'll see that spread get wider and a bit more musical as we continue up the guitar. When you play in the key of D over the key of E, you do have to be aware of, you are still following the key of E around, with your 1-5-6-4 progression. But you're just thinking in the key of D. So now that we have the capo here, we have all of these, things available to us in the key of D. That's not really available to us when we're just doing it, like a bar chord, as some people do. They won't, if you don't use a capo, you don't have that stuff available. So anyway, let's move on. So that's the key of D over E. So how about the key of C? So all we do is move our capo up to where we have, a C root on our A string here. Now we are in the key of C over E in the bottom there. So let's just see what that sounds like. Whoops, lost my place here. Okay, so hopefully you get the point of that. It's probably one of the few that I play in the least, right there. But okay, so that's C. Our next shape would be A. And really, when we get to this point, you'll notice a pretty massive spread in the where the ranges are between the two. You have E way down here, and then A way up here. So there's a lot more notes available to us in the A form up here. Okay, so hopefully you get the point out. So that's the key of A over E, and C, A, G, E, D. So the next one would be, right, whoops. There we go. So last one is G up here. Here's what it sounds like. So hopefully you kind of get the point of that and can kind of use that to your advantage with a capo next time you're just playing around. And like I said, this sounds even better when you have two different players. Right now I'm running through one amp with one looper and one guitar, so in a way it still sounds pretty congested, or can, because you still have a lot going on in the same frequency range. Also, if you can have this with two acoustic guitars, it sounds even better. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it helped you, and I'll see you in the next video.